Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Let's get crafting. I was online the other day and came across this darling dairy jug that was made so simply out of just wood pieces that I knew that I could replicate myself and save tons of money on. So I took some wood that I had on hand in my garage that was left over from when I tore down the wall between our kitchen and our living room. And first I sketched out a notch that I wanted for the sides of the jug, and then I cut them out with my jigsaw. Then using my larger saw, I took it over to the ends and cut off the size that I would need for it. I repeated this twice for the two outer sides of that jug, and then there's one straight cut in the middle. Now I'm going to be using a thinner piece of wood that I also had on hand that a friend gave to me when she was cleaning out her garage, and I'm just cutting those down to size to be able to wrap it 3 times around the jug. At the bottom, at the middle where the handles come down, and then at the very top. Now my inspiration didn't have it wrapped around the top, but I just liked it because it made it look more like a cap on the container, the milk jug. I just thought that that looked really cute, and to personalize it myself. Now it's really important to remember to always sand down things like this because there's always lots of splinters whenever you're working with wood. So I sanded everything down nice and smooth on the ends and those notches where I cut them out. And now I'm adding on some wood glue and some hot glue. These are going to be cased with those surroundings around them 3 times. So you don't need a lot of glue, just a little something to hold it together before you start nailing everything together. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue on those 2 smaller pieces on the sides first, and then I'm going to bring back on the long piece on the top. So again, the wood glue is going to really help it lock in, and then the hot glue is just going to hold it in place for a little bit of time while things dry and get settled. This is such an easy DIY. I could not believe that they wanted $70 for this, and at this point basically everything is free because I'm just using wood that I had in my garage. I know a lot of us have wood like this, and a lot of us have these types of tools in our garage, so I just wanted everyone to see that with a little bit of creativity, you can make the cutest things ever. So then I went ahead and nailed it all in place around those holding brackets on it, and then I went outside, I spray painted a creamy ivory white, and then using a really brown, grayish, dark color. I don't know what color to call this, but it's kind of a gray and a brown combined. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint over all of those wrapped around brackets on the milk jug or the dairy jug. Now at this point, I'm just going to take my smaller thin brush and some black paint after I sketched on what I wanted it to say. And I'm going off of the inspiration picture. So first I'm doing the really big words dairy. And then I'm gonna do certified fresh, and then at the very end down at the bottom you're gonna make sure you have enough spacing to be able to do these 3 rows and just have fun with this part. I say it all the time here on my channel, you don't have to have perfect handwriting. If you don't feel comfortable doing this with paint, you can always end up using vinyl cutting machines, but at the very end I did milk, cream, and butter and had stars in between them. After the paint was all really dried well, and I used my heat gun just to make sure that it was, I came in with my sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to simply sand the whole thing down. Now this is the one part where I actually spent money. I picked up one of these cutting mats from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to sand it down to make sure it's nice and textured on it so the paint will adhere to it. Once I sanded it on both sides, I went ahead and cut out 2 strips that were thick enough to resemble the handles on the jug, and then I took them outside and I spray painted them black, and now I'm coming back in with the same grayish brown color that I was using earlier to go around the jugs, and I added a little bit of white to it, and then I'm just going to nail that into place on the jug coming around the sides like the handles and the inspiration. And we have a completed finished project. I think this turned out so great, and for $2 I made it versus $70.
If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Heidi Sonboul, and can you believe it? I have almost been on YouTube for 4 years come this fall. I would love it if you joined my YouTube family here on my channel so that you can get any notifications of videos that might pop up here on my channel.
For this DIY, I am using a Look for Less inspiration that cost $118 from Antique Farmhouse. Now, I love Antique Farmhouse, but their prices are really high, and I knew that with some scrap wood that I had in my garage, I could make this. So I've got 4 small sizes, 4 medium and 4 large. I'm going to put the measurements down below in my description box if you decide to try to make this project. Then I'm going to take some wood glue and some hot glue, and I'm going to glue on 2 of the smaller pieces to the medium pieces, creating a long rectangle frame. Then, to make sure that they're locked in place, I'm going to add my staples to the back. I'm just going to do 2 of them to make sure they're nice and locked in. And now we're going to start building the cased out frame around it. So I took my glue and I went down the center of those last 2 small pieces. This is where we get our 4 pieces in, and I'm going to just take my staple gun and do a simple staple right in there. Make sure that's locked and held into place as well. Once I have those all in place, I then can start bringing around the sides. Make sure those staples, by the way, are really in so it doesn't cause any issues when you put on this next piece. Then I just glued that all into place, added a couple staples again to make sure it's nice and strong. And now at this point, I have tons of these wires left over. They're from the garden stakes that have cute little bees or sunflowers on them. I'm always ripping them off and turning them into other things. And so I decided to repurpose these wires. I've been holding on to them for a while. And what I'm doing is I'm just cutting them down to the sizes that I want. And I'm bending the ends so that I can use those for my staple gun to be able to connect and catch onto. And you can see here that I've got 2 arches on the outside. This is where it's just a little bit different than what the inspiration was, because I didn't have wires long enough to be able to do 2 in the middle. So I've got 3 going horizontal. So you can see that in the inspiration there's 4 and 4 on that one. But that's okay. Like, that's the thing about these inspirations, that you get them and you customize them to make them look the way you want them to look. So once I had all of my wire pieces all stapled into place and they were locked in really tight, I went outside and spray painted the whole thing with a creamy ivory white. And now I'm going to come back in with my dry brushing, and I'm just going to distress it lightly. It's actually distressed less than what the inspiration was. But again, that's the fun part about the inspiration and making it yourself. You get to make it how you want. Now, this was absolutely free for me to make, and I saved myself $118. If you are a DIY crafting friend like myself, I want to invite you over to Instagram, where myself, Christy, Leonette, and Annalie all host a weekly DIY craft tour on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's so much fun, and basically it's just a regular post that you do on Instagram, and you share your craft projects with this cute little community that we have built up. It's so much fun. If you're interested, come on over to Instagram and we will give you all the details. Just leave me a message and I'll help you out knowing where to go and how to join. For this next inspiration, again, it comes from Antique Farmhouse, a site I love. They wanted $112 for these frames. That is so much money. We're going to make them for so much less. I have these printables here to share with you all today. We're going to be using the white hydrangea pictures. If you missed it, last week I had a printable that had the blue hydrangeas. I'm going to link that video at the end of this video so you can check it out, and down below in my description box. But what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 frames from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to take our printable and we're going to cut it down to size to fit inside the frame. Now, you can stop there and make it as easy as can be by just putting these pictures into the frame, or we can try to match the colors that were in the inspiration. So I went outside, I spray painted them an ivory creamy white, and then after that was all nice and dry, I came back in and dry brushed on brown and white to give it that blonde wood color that is very popular right now in farmhouse home decor. It was so easy to do, and we're going to save ourselves so much money. Now I will say the inspiration frames were a lot bigger, and they do have bigger frames at the Dollar Tree. I've seen them before. This is just what I had on hand, and even still, we saved ourselves so much money. Don't forget to grab the free printable. It's linked down below. It'll take you to my website where you can download it for free.
Thanks so much for watching today's video. It really does mean so much to me each and every single time you click on one of my videos. I'm going to recommend a couple videos over here to the side that might interest you as well. And please do leave a comment down below to let me know which one you liked and which one you think you will try. And if you haven't already, please do give this video a thumbs up. And until the next episode, bye friends!